Hi everybody, it's Doreen and welcome back to day 11 of Christmas Cards with the Cricut. I've got another simple one for you and it's a take on the gatefold card. So this is the card we'll be making today, and when it opens like this and you have your greeting in the inside. So come on and join me and I'm going to show you how I made this card. Okay everybody, so I'm going to bring up the supplies so we can get started with card number 11. So I bought back the gatefold, but we're going to do a twist with the gatefold. So now, I'm sure you know the measurements by now, but my card measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. And then once you've scored that, you have the beginnings of your gatefold. So now my panels measure 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and this paper is from the Christmas Combo by DCWV. It looks like this, and it's a value pack that has 180 sheets in it. So I've already gone ahead and inked my edges using the Festive Berries by Tim Holtz. So we can go ahead and get some tape on here and we'll tape down our panels. So I'm going to use my ATG gun and get some tape all the way around my edges, and then some tape in the middle. And I'm just going to go ahead and, while I'm at it, do my second panel so I'll have it all ready to go and we can just go ahead and add our panels. Get tape down there in the middle, and we're ready to go ahead and line them up. So I cut these where they don't match each other, so we're just going to go ahead, because it doesn't matter anyway, they're going to be covered partially. So we'll start with this sheet, and we're going to start on our right side, and when you flip it over it's going to be your left, and we'll add our first panel. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add our second panel. And since I'm not having these line up, I'm just going to flip this over. Well, actually I want to make sure they at least line up at the top and the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and close up the card and then line them up. So that's the beginnings of our gatefold. So now let's go ahead and put together our next layer. So I have a piece of cardstock that measures 2 1/2 inches by 2 1/2 inches, and I've gone ahead and run it through my Swiss Dots Cuttlebug folder. It looks like this. And I also inked my edges using the Festive Berries. It's very light, so the camera might not pick it up. The next thing I did was I have another piece of cardstock that measures 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and I also inked the edges using the Festive Berries, and then I ran it through my Swirls Cuttlebug folder, which looks like that. So we're going to go ahead and just line this up and add this top layer to the bottom layer. And I'm going to just go ahead and use the Tombow for that, since it's just a small piece. We're going to get the tape going all the way around. And then I'm just going to go ahead and line this up like so. And then I'm ready to, we'll put this aside because then we're going to go ahead and add this to the card. So let's go ahead and work on the bottom layer of the card. So I have a piece of cardstock that measures 1.5 by 2.5, and I've inked the edges with the festive berries. And then I have another piece of cardstock that measures 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I've gone ahead also and inked the edges with the festive blueberries. The festive berries. I'm thinking of blueberries because I have purple here. So the other thing that I've done is I also went ahead and ran the bottom layer through my Swiss Dots Colorbug folder, and I've run the top layer through my swirls folder. So we're just going to go ahead and get some tape on this layer, and then we'll add this to the bottom, like so. And then just make sure that's adhered down. Well, I'm going to bring that over just a little bit so I can even that out. Okay, so now we're ready. So now let's go over our, or should we add this to the card? We're going to go ahead and add this to our card. So now, as I've said on previous gatefold cards, remember, we're only putting tape on this half. If we had a larger piece and we were just going to open it like so. But remember, I said that this was going to be a twist to the gatefold card, whereas we're going to put our bottom layer down here and we're going to put tape on that half. So then the card will open like so, and you'll have your greeting inside. So let's go ahead and mark where we want each piece to lay. So I'm going to get out my pencil and I'm going to line this up, and I'm just going to make a light pencil mark right there for that half, and I'm going to leave that laying there because I want to match up this with the bottom one. So I think I want to have it right there. So what I want to do is this time I'm going to put my pencil mark over here because we're going to put the tape on this side. So let's go ahead and get our tape. Remember, only on one side. So when I flip this over, we're going to put the tape on this half. So we'll just get this, and I believe that's about halfway. And then we'll line this up where we've placed our pencil mark. And then I'm going to press down. Okay, so now I want to get the tape on my other side. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and get my tape on this half. And I think that's about halfway. And then I'll line this up next to my pencil mark and press down. So there you have it. So now let's go ahead and talk about what I used the Cricut for. So I went ahead and I've cut out this cross, which looks like this, and the cross is from, let's see which cartridge that is. Well, actually, before we talk about that, let's go ahead and talk about the bottom layer, or what I did for the bottom layer. What I've done is I've gone ahead and cut out this little frame, and I've taken my Cricut pens and wrote out the words Merry Christmas. I don't know if that's going to show up or not with my pen. So let me tell you how I did that. The first thing I did was I went ahead and spelled out or added Merry Christmas to my mat. And the Merry Christmas is from the Calligraphy Collection cartridge. And the handbook looks like this. And I took the Merry Christmas from right here, which is on page 76. So I first drew that out the way I want it, and because the way the Merry Christmas is set up, it cuts this way, and I wanted to make sure I could have the two of them next to each other. So what I did was I drew out two of these, and I hid the Merry on one and hid the Christmas on one so that I could get them to fit inside here. So I'm going to show you how I did that and what it looks like on the Gypsy. And I do have a tutorial out there on how to use the Cricut pens, which look like this. And I used the glitter pen this time. So now on my Gypsy, I have the Merry Christmas, which is key number 45, and it looks like this. So what I've done is I wanted that to fit inside my frame. So I'm going to bring up the frame as well. And then as you can see, I'm going to zoom in to see if you can see this. I lined up the Merry Christmas within the frame. And once I had it lined up, let me zoom back. I don't mean to make you dizzy. I first went ahead and used my Cricut pen and drew out the Merry Christmas. And as you can see where I've got it, where I've hid the two, so Merry is hidden on this Christmas and Christmas is hidden on that Merry. So I drew that out first and drew that with the Cricut pens, and then rather than hitting the unload mat, I went back and said return to design, and once I was back to return to design, I then went to my tab that has the frame, and then I cut out everything else. So the size for the frame, and the frame is from the Ornamental Iron 2, and this is the handbook, and the frame is on page 56, and it's this one right here, and that is key 44, or is that 34? Let me make sure. So we'll go to that cartridge. That is on, it's 34, and it looks like this. So now as far as what to cut that at, I cut that with the height being 1.80 and the width, I took the aspect ratio off, and that made it 2.5 for the width. Because I wanted it to kind of line up with the 2.5 of the bottom layer of my layer piece right here. And then I just went ahead to squeeze the letters in for the Merry Christmas. Those were cut out at, the height is 0.89 and the width is 2.30. And I had to take the aspect ratio off. Now as far as cutting this out on your Cricut without the Gypsy, I would say this would be like a trial and error, or you can use that center point feature. I have yet to use that on my Cricut because I do so much of my card making and my projects using the Gypsy, so I'm not sure how that center point feature works, but I know that there's tutorials out there on how to use the center point feature, and one of these days I'm actually going to learn how to use that myself. So let's go ahead and we're going to put this on first, our frame. And I'm going to get some glue on here with my two-way zig pen. And I'm just going to dot it all over and make sure I get glue or as much glue on there as I can. And then we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to take my tweezers so I can line this up on here exactly where I want it. And we're just going to lay it down. And I'm going to have it laying right there. The other thing that I didn't mention as to how or what I used to cut this, I cut this using some of that pearl cardstock that's by Recollections, and it was the gold. And then once I had it cut out, I then took and used some embossing ink, and I pulled out the Recollections gold or clear gold embossing powder, and I embossed that. And I used this once before on day 10's card. I'm finding I really like that, the way that looks. So now we can go ahead and we're going to add the Merry Christmas here in the center. So let's just get some, I think we'll use a Tombow for this. And I want to make sure I get tape all the way on there. And then I'm just going to line that up. And actually when it cut the frame out, it actually did cut this square piece automatically. So that's our bottom layer, and it looks like that. So now let's go ahead and add the cross. And the cross is from the wedding cartridge. And it doesn't have a handbook, so it basically looks like this. So let me see which key that is on my Gypsy, and then I can give you the size that I cut that. So let me go to that one. And we'll go to that cartridge. So I've cut out the blackout, and it is key number 12. And it looks like this. And then I cut out the actual cross, which is also key number 12 without hitting your shift key or anything else, so it looks like this. Now this I cut out at 2 inches. And I actually did have to cut this twice because of the intricate cut that comes out. And I initially did this on some cream color cardstock, and then that one didn't come out because I didn't have my blade set right. So I went back and cut it using the same cardstock as this, and then I went ahead and used my embossing ink and the clear gold embossing powder and embossed it. For my shadow or blackout, this layer I also embossed it using my swirls folder. And I'm sorry, yeah, for this layer here, I actually used my damask folder. I said swirl, I believe, earlier, but it was the damask. The cross was used, the swirl folder. So I'm going to go ahead and get some glue using my two-way zig pen all over the top layer of the cross. And then we can add that to the bottom layer. So I'm going to take my tweezers again, and I want to make sure I get this lined up. So I'm going to lay it down like so. And then I'm just going to press down. So now because I want this to pop up, I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on here. So let me get out my dimensionals, and we'll add those to the back. And I just have some very small square dimensionals, so we'll add those. And let me see if I'm going to put one in the middle. I don't think I have to, so let me go ahead and take the tape off the square dimensionals, and then we can add that to the front of the card. and I'm going to place it right here. So now, the last thing that I think my card needs is we've got to have some bling. So I'm going to go ahead and take my iRock tool, and I'm going to go ahead and add some bling, and then I'll come back with the finished card. Okay, everybody, so I'm back now with the finished card, and I've added my bling. So the only thing left to do to the card is to add my inside sentiment. So this is the card for day number 11 of Christmas Cards with the Cricut. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget to come back because we'll be working on day 12. Bye.